please welcome Edward James Olmos. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So before we get to the questions, I'm something I just got to ask real quick. Started out as a teenager, baseball, then a rock and roll band. How did that lead to acting?
It was easy.
Oh, okay. That was
yeah, I started off as a baseball player. I started to play at a very, very young age, like most of us do. It's a kid's game, and to this day, it's still a kid's game. And the game that I'm going to watch tonight is a kid's game where Kansas City plays the LA Dodgers. I know. Okay, well, but I started playing at a very young age. And it's interesting because it taught me something that I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity of learning. And that was the fact that when we're born, you learn everything. You know, people think that you have some natural instincts. Humans have natural instincts. They really don't, okay? That's a big discussion between different anthropological and sociological groups in the world. But even blinking is not natural. You have to learn to blink. Somebody has to help you take a breath, or you won't breathe. Okay, it's really interesting. People go, well, breathing is natural, or blinking. No, they don't wake you up and get your machine going and say, hey, come on. If the cold air that you come out into doesn't get you, they have to wake you up. They have to make you breathe, and they have to make you start coming alive. So that being said, I learned discipline, determination, perseverance, and patience playing the game of baseball. I had to be patient because I was only 3, 4, 5 years old when I started to play, and then I would watch it on, listen to the games, and I'd watch people play the game, and I played it, but I played it every day. I played it 7 days a week. If you're a musician, that's not a big deal. Musicians play 7 days a week their whole lives. They touch the craft every single day, even when they're 70 or 80, they still work on their craft. Well, I learned that, and I learned my discipline through there, and I got to be very good. I played from the age of about 5 to the age of 14 every day, 7 days a week, and I got to be very good. Very grateful. Not that I was naturally gifted. I wasn't naturally gifted at all. I worked hard at it. Nothing came easy. I couldn't hit the ball, and then I finally learned how to hit the ball, and then I got to hit the ball real well. And so that being said, when I was on during that period of time, at about 10 years old, my father taught us how to dance. We would clean the house, and by cleaning the house, he'd put on music, and we'd be sitting there with cha-cha-cha. We'd be doing, swing, or we'd be doing tango, or we'd do, waltz, and you're sweeping and doing stuff around the house. So I learned how to dance, started learning how to dance at the age of 10. Added to my baseball, I became a lot better ball player by being a dancer. And I could see my movements were better, and I had more control of my body. And so music and dancing and with baseball led me right into, at the age of 14, into rock and roll music. The year's 1960, and I'd been listening to rock and roll since 1955, and I was listening to, Little Richard, James Brown. I was listening to, Elvis. And all the great Buddy Holly, and Richie Valens, and all these great guys in the 50s, late 50s, and moving into the 60s. So I became a rock and roll singer, which you saw. And this is the most extensive presentation on my life that I've ever seen. Oh, how are you? So good to talk to you. But basically, so I went from baseball, learning discipline, determination, perseverance, patience, playing 7 days a week, to dancing every day from 10 on. And I got to be a better dancer. And then pretty soon I got into music and I started singing rock and roll at the age of 14, 7 days a week, okay? Using the same thing. I hung up the baseball cleats and the glove, and my parents, my father didn't talk to me for 2 years. Really, think about it. I mean, I was playing for the Dodger Farm Club at the age of 12, 13 years old. I was catching Eddie Roebuck at 13. And you know, I was playing in single A ball. I was playing winter ball in California Sun League. And I was playing with the Knopp brothers. Bobby Knopp went on to become the head coach of the Angels for 10 years. And his brother was a brilliant player. And we all played together. And I was the youngest. I was a small little kid. But I had all the attributes to going into that world. They knew that I really was very much into it. And I hung up my cleats in it. And I got into rock and roll. I couldn't sing rock and roll. I still can't sing rock and roll. But then I'd listen to Bob Dylan, and he can't sing either. So I said, hell, man, if he can sing like that, then shit, I can sing too, man. I'm going to be a singer just like Bob Dylan. Little did I know that he wrote his own songs, all right? It was really, geez, amazing. So anyway, I went from 14. I graduated from high school at 17. I went into college, my first year of college. I took an acting class to help me in my presentations on stage. Okay? So now I have discipline, determination, perseverance, patience, music, dancing, acting in theater, and singing. And all of a sudden, boy, I went right into that world, and I never looked back. I became a storyteller. Storytelling is the key ingredient to being a great singer. It's the key. You tell a whole story in a matter of 2.5, 3 minutes. It's an amazing, amazing genre. It's a great, great craft. So I became a storyteller, and then pretty soon I was telling stories from the stage, doing theater, and I found it was easier for me to talk a story than it was to sing a story for you. So, 1978 rolls around. I've been doing it now 7 days a week since 1964. When I got on the stage, I do a stage production called Zoot Suit. Okay? Well, that was it. I did Zoot Suit and literally changed the course of the history of my life, but also the history of my culture. It was a cultural event. It was the first time that they had ever done a story, a Latino story, true Latino story on Broadway in the history of American theater. And I did it. In 1979, I won the Tony nomination. I went on to become, thank you. I went on to do the work that I did. The next thing I did was Wolfen. And from Wolfen, I went to Blade Runner, and Blade Runner to Zoot Suit the movie, and then the Ballad of Gregorio Cortez, and then Miami Vice, and then... And we were very fortunate, very fortunate. So that's what got me here. What got me in front of you today, I'm 75. I know I look good, okay, but I am old. And so I've been doing this for over 50 years. And I find myself very grateful to all of you. And people say, why do you go to those things? I go, what do you mean, why do I go to those things? Have you ever been to one? Oh, no, not really. I said, you should try it. It's a lot of fun. People have a lot of fun at conventions, a lot of fun. And you get to be with people who you've seen your whole life, like me, and you get to stand there in front of them, and you get to talk with them. Hey, come on. I couldn't talk to you like I talk to you here. Those of you that have been over to my booth, and we sit there, we talk. And we talk like we can never do I have the time when I'm eating like dinner. People come up, oh, hi, Mr. Olmos. Hi, how you doing? Oh, real good. Yeah, well, I know. Well, yes, by all means. Excuse me. Or when I'm running through the airport. That's really a good time, Hey, look at Martha, look at here. Wait, look, it's Carlos Santana. I'm not kidding you. And then what does Carlos get? Hey, it's Edward James Olmos. I can't tell you how many times we laugh at that. Him and I are very close friends. We've been friends for 50 years. And so anyway, I can't talk to you when life is passing. If I'm walking down the street, I might be able to say, hey, how are you? Stop for 2 or 3 seconds, shake your hand, say thank you very much. I'm going somewhere. I'm doing something. Okay? But here, I come here for the express reason. I don't need you to buy anything from me. What I need you to do is come over and say hello. And that's what we do. And some people who want to remember it, they take a photograph or they sign an autograph. And I don't just sign an autograph. I mean, I sign an autograph. And people go, wow, you went to Catholic school. No, I went to public school. All my school years were in public school. Never went to Catholic school. But in essence, I'm here to say thank you to you for allowing me to live my life. If it weren't for you, I couldn't have lived this life. You have made it possible for me to have a privileged life. Yes, I could have been very rich and I could have been very famous had I done everything that they offered me. But I chose to say no to the dollar when I was very young. And it made me able to say no to the dollar when I had money. Because when you have money, you never have enough. So what ends up happening? They offer you X amount of dollars. Oh, shit, that's a lot of money. Okay. Ask the PGA tournament and the LIV tournament. And they're giving hundreds of millions of dollars to professional golfers to go over and play over with them rather than play in the PGA. And they're doing it, and they sit back and go, well. But some didn't. Some said, Tiger said, no, I'd love to have your $500 million that you just offered me. That's very, very nice. But you know what? I'll stay with the PGA, thank you very much. That's what I did. I made choices. I chose not to do some of the things that I've been asked to do because of countless different reasons, but mainly because at the time, like when they offered me, like for instance, Scarface, with Al Pacino, they offered me a third lead in the picture, and I had done all the casting for them. I had helped them cast the movie. And they said, you should be in here. And I said, listen, I really would love to be in this movie with you, but guess what? Take a good look at me. I am Scarface. Al has to become Scarface. And I said, no, the only role that I could honestly play in this movie would be to play Scarface. And you have a wonderful Italian-American actor to play a Cuban. Go do your thing. And so, when they offered me a role in The Line of Fire, with Clint Eastwood, they offered me a possibility of doing something with him, and he wanted me to talk with him about it. And I said, I read the script, and I read it again, and I called back his office. I never heard from him again. I called his office. I said, listen, you should get a non-ethnic person to play this role. Do not get an ethnic person to try to kill the President of the United States. Not a good time to do this. Okay. And they did. They got John Malkovich, and he was perfect. He was perfect. No questions asked. Nobody went through changes. Had I done the role, first of all, I would have won the Academy Award. He just got nominated. Okay. Only kidding. Jesus. Come on, guys. Okay, there's a lady back there going, who is this? No, basically, I turned it down because I couldn't see myself at this time in my life portraying something that would bring about an understanding that would be much bigger than anything I could imagine. Because this medium attacks the subconscious mind. It doesn't just attack your conscious mind, which is the one you're looking at me right now, But your subconscious mind is receiving all the images that I'm giving to you, and it goes in there and it stays in there. Your conscious mind's kind of like, well, I like that, I didn't like that. You talk to yourself in it. Subconscious, it just goes in there and records it like a computer. And then that's why you wonder sometimes when you see a movie like Jaws and you go to sleep, you wake up in the middle of the night going, ah! There's sharks in my bed. You know, that's, to me, it's serious. That's why I love Battlestar Galactica. Okay? For those of you who have, is there anyone in here that has not seen Battlestar Galactica? Be honest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. What are you guys waiting for? I mean, do you need an invitation? What? You couldn't do it during the pandemic? I mean, you're at home. You had plenty of time. Jeepers. No. But anyway, for all of you that did get to see it, I will say this to you. Okay, the importance of this industry, the importance of this art form, the importance of this craft. If, for those of you that haven't seen it yet, you will not understand this, but you will understand it, but then maybe it'll drive you to go watch it. For those of us who have seen this program and watched it from the beginning to the end, you're ready for a nuclear holocaust. You're ready for it. As much as you think, well, what is he talking about? You know, how can you get ready for nuclear? You mentally went through the journey, and you went through the situation of choosing, well, what would I do if I was in that situation? Wow, I have cheaper. Ooh, man. And at the end of the story, there was nobody left for those 49,000 people that were left alive that we knew of on board those ships. There was no one. Everything that you know is gone. Everything is gone. And it's only you amongst the whole bunch of people that maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but it's just your life. Are you going to want to go on, or are you going to want to end your own life and say, I don't want to live like this. This is not for me. I'm out of here. Commit suicide. For those that haven't seen the program, you will commit suicide. You don't have a chance. It's going to be too much to handle. If you had gone through the shit that you do in Battlestar Galactica, hell, it's easy, man. Yeah, okay. We'll just write it out, see where we get to. But that's the essence of it. And, you know, we laugh about it, and it's kind of cute and funny and the whole thing, and you kind of feel kind of strange about it, but it's a truth. A truth. You've gone through the experience. There's no more unbelievable way to go through an experience than the audio-visual event, much more than a live performance. Nothing attacks the subconscious mind as much as an audio-visual event, especially on the big screen, or, you know, when you sit there, you're watching the whole thing coming at you. Whoa, boy, goes right into the subconscious mind, it stays there. And you can never get rid of it. You may never remember it, doesn't matter. It's already in there making the machine work in a certain way. You've already built your character. It's like eating. You are what you eat, you know? As much as you think, it doesn't matter if you drink. It does. Your body tells you when you're later on in life, you drank too much. Take it easy. But, you know, in essence, all I can say is I've been very fortunate because of all of you. And I will say thank you to you 1,000 times over. Now, I'm tired of talking. I want to hear some questions. I want to hear some questions from you guys. Okay?
Right down front. Let's start.
Right here. Start with one of my officers.
Pleasure to speak with you, sir. I'm just curious, though, because I've gone on the journey of Battlestar Galactica. If you had had some more time like another season, is there anything you would have liked to have explored as the character of Bill Adama, or seen explored in the show itself in general?
I must say that it was so well thought through. I got to tell you, I was blown away by the writing. I was unexpected. I mean, how many of you saw the presentation we did at the United Nations? Okay, go online, YouTube, and put Battlestar Galactica at the UN and get your mind blown. You cannot do it with any other show ever done in the history of motion television. That show was so prolific that it ended up being asked to come to the UN. We spoke to all the nations that are in the UN. They asked us to come there, and myself and Mary, and the producers and the writer, we went there, and we sat there, and we talked to the world. We talked to the world about what this modern television show, how it resonated, what it was saying to the masses. And one of the things we talked about was reconciliation. I mean, come on, how do you reconcile? How does the Ukrainian reconcile with the Russian today? Yes, they killed their kids, their grandparents, everybody you loved. They were all killed. For what? For what? You're going to have to ask Putin that one. Because he's the one who started it. His army didn't start it. He did. One man made a conscious choice to go and do that. And this is the outcome. So, that being said, how do you reconcile that? The UN has to think about this. How are they going to make this thing, even out? How are they going to get it so there won't be any more friction between the two cultures and nations? That's what we dealt with in my advice. In Battlestar. There's no way that we can reconcile with the Cylons. They annihilated the entire structure of humanity, leaving only 49,000 people alive. So how do you reconcile that? Well, that shows you how they did it. And you can take it or you leave it. I think I took it. I said, man, that's fantastic that they tried to do that. Religion. Cylons believed in one God, humans believed in gods. So, all of a sudden we were all flipped around from the beginning going, wait a minute, that's different. How do you think about that? Now you had to deal with the fact that the human beings were under this understanding, and that these Cylons were under this understanding, which you understood. And then we got to Caprica, the new Caprica, and we started committing, suicide bombings. We started to, and you sit back and wait a minute, aren't the bad guys do suicide bombings? You see what I mean by what happens when you unleash the strength and power of storytelling and the wisdom and the cunning understanding of Ron Moore. Ronald Moore is truly a gift. Who else could have killed Kurt? It was his idea. Let's kill Kurt. Oh, okay. But anyway, next question. Anybody?
Right in the back over there.
No. So say we all?
So say we all.
Just like you were mentioning, Ron Moore's proficiency at storytelling, and then, of course, the performance of the ensemble. The show still holds up so well, and, of my opinion, I think it's because of the collaboration between all of you. And so my question to you would be, when you were in front of or even behind the camera, what's the one thing you brought to the show, whether it's an improv line, a character choice, a story beat, the one thing that you're the most proud of?
That it was such an ensemble. It was such a collaboration. See, one of the things with the beauty of film is a very collaborative art form. It takes an incredible amount of different artistries to get together, disciplines to get together to do this, all right? So everybody brings their own. I can honestly tell you that what I brought was a sense of understanding and balance to my character, so that the young actors that were working with us, some of them had never been in front of camera before, others had been, this was their first major television show that they were in. They had maybe done guest starring roles of 1 or 2 days, but this was an ongoing repetitive scene that they were getting into. And so what I brought was the grounding, myself and Mary, and Michael Hogan. And Michael Hogan's getting better, everybody. He's been really, really sick. But I brought that. I brought a sense of rooting. I root Mayans too right now, MC. I'm rooting that show. I'm not the center. The stories are not coming through me, but I center the piece, and people say, "Oh, wow!" And then, boom, you can go off and do your storytelling. And so that's what I brought. I've just brought a centering of character that, in turn, helped establish a base, formative base of no acting allowed. No one's acting on that show. Everybody's being. And once you start to be, that's all you can ever ask. Just don't act. Just be. Be honest with the moment. Your moment to moment must connect. And that's what we brought to the show. Go ahead.
Question right here.
All right. Hello, Edward. Wonderful to have you with us today.
It's great to see you again.
Great to see you again as well, Edward. So this is a two-part question I've always wanted to ask you. What's it like to work on live-action projects like My Family and Selena, and then voiceover work for Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind, and Coco? And the second question is, out of all the movie moments and moments that you've worked on throughout your life and career, which do you look back on as the one that you're most proud of, and why?
Okay, I'll answer the second one first, and that is to say, you've asked me, like, which one of my children do I love the best? I have 6 kids, okay?
I'm good.
Which one of your 6 kids do you like the most? Oh, boy. You know, it's not about liking the most. It's about understanding what became of the work that you did. So, like Stand and Deliver, okay? How many of you have seen that? Okay. How many of you saw Stand and Deliver in your school? How many of you are teachers? How many have shown Stand and Deliver in your classrooms? You should have. Because it's become the single most viewed film of any film that's ever been made in the United States of America, more than Argo, more than, E.T., more than, more. It outdid Gone with the Wind. And people saying, well, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I go, yeah, more people have seen Stand and Deliver that saw Raiders or Jaws or any one of the block. Right now, Tom Cruise's new one will never catch up to Stand and Deliver, because teachers, tens of thousands of teachers, have used Stand and Deliver every year in front of their classes, like many of you saw it in your classroom. And they use it, and inspires and motivates the students that see it, and it does the same thing to the teacher who's presenting it. So once a year, the teacher gets infused with this understanding of why they're doing what they're doing. It gives them a great sense of understanding who they are. And so that movie is the only movie in all the United States of America that they do that with. There's no other movie. You might have seen other movies in your classroom when you were in school and whatever, history or whatever, but not the whole educational system using the film. They use it. And so that, to me, makes that film, unbelievable. It's $1 million movie that ended up catching lightning in a bottle, and, it was extraordinary, and it still holds so well. You play it in front of kids, it motivates the hell out of them. It's just like, and it's not even, they don't even have to be of the culture. It supersedes culture, it supersedes religion, it supersedes everything. It just makes everything come to understanding that we are able to rise to the level of expectation. And that was the key of that whole movie, and have gotten us desire. So that being said, now as far as doing live action drama or comedy or whatever on film and television versus doing animation and doing the voice, boy, they're both fantastic mediums for storytelling. I'm so grateful. How many of you saw Coco? Okay. How many saw me in Coco? I was Chicharrón. I was the guy who disappears at the end, and everybody forgets me, and I'm the one that, the guy who lost it, he tells the kid when he comes to get his guitar from him, and he says, "You stole my femur! Give me back my femur!" And so, yeah, I love both mediums. It's storytelling, and it's really a great, animation is phenomenal. It's been really wonderful. Go ahead, next one.
Question right here.
First thing I want to tell you, thank you, because in the 80s I went to college and we would show small independent films or something, and that's when I first saw Zoot Suit, and that opened my eyes, and I want to tell you, thank you for that. I also want to ask, I'm a big Miami Vice fan. Captain Castile was my favorite character because you had like a stone face, but you had emotions that came through. And how did you do that? I mean, you had the same facial expressions about all the time, but you showed caring and strength and everything else.
As much as you don't want to think this way, but I'm going to tell you, you're telling me how you're thinking when I look at your face right now, and you're not saying a word. Okay, many of you are not saying anything, but I see everything from to and it all tells you something without saying a word. So when you're working and telling stories, especially, if you understand and learn the craft, you'll get an understanding that the spoken word is one thing, but the person receiving the spoken word gives you much more understanding of the spoken word. The impact it has on you. I know where I'm going of what I'm saying by what you're experiencing and giving back to me by your expression. And I can tell you that, how many saw Miami Vice? You guys are old. Shit, that's older than it's 1984, dudes and dudettes. I mean, come on. So in essence, what I can tell you is that that character gave me something that I must say, to this day, I'm very grateful. In 1978, I did Zoot Suit. You saw the play, you saw the movie. And when I finished doing that play, and those 3 years of doing that play and doing the film and being involved with that piece, it was a shot heard around the world, and especially in the theater world. They had never experienced anything like it. And the character was, they defined it and said that it was one of 3 American characters, true American characters to ever arise on the American stage. They were Willie Loman, Stanley Kowalski, and El Pachuco. Those are the 3 characters, okay? Lee J. Cobb, Marlon Brando, and myself, that developed a character that was truly Americana, okay? So it had hit a very high level in theater. And with that, I was able to get creative control of my characters because I created that character. It was written words, but I brought it to life in a way that no one had ever experienced anything like. It's like Marlon Brando when he did, or Lee J. Cobb when he did. This wasn't the fact that anybody could do, Stanley Kowalski. Anybody could do, any one of the brilliant pieces of work that there are. But certain actors bring certain things to certain understandings, and they excel in such a way that everybody goes, "Oh my goodness, this is never seen it that way, never understood it that way." So I did that, and I brought it. That's the same thing happened in Blade Runner. I took a little part, really just. I don't even know what kind of part it was. I couldn't classify it as a role, but it was. I mean, I had a few scenes, and I said a few words, and I said them in language that nobody understood, which is really a lot of fun. And they allowed me to do that. I brought that character. I brought the Asian influence to the entire movie. I brought origami to the movie. I brought the language, city speak, to the movie. It gave it an essence and a feeling that they would have never had we not been given the opportunity to bring that type of character to life. No one told me, this is what you're going to do. This is how, this is what we need. And they wrote it out on paper, and then you get it and you read it and you perform it. No, this is developing another sense. So I got creative control of my character so that I could have control of Zoot Suit. I had control after Zoot Suit for everything I've done. So I did Miami Vice was, very first line I ever uttered as Lieutenant Martin Castillo was a classic scene, and many of you know the scene, and that's when Tubbs is telling me something right here to my face. He's whispering into my face, you know, this is what this means, and this is what's going on. And and then Crockett's a little ways away from us here, and he's listening, but he's not involved in the scene. He's just looking, and then, you know, Tubbs quits speaking, and I'm supposed to say a line, and the line I'm supposed to say is not the line I say. The line I say is, "Don't you ever come up into my face like this again, detective." And Don knows that's not the line, and sees panic on Philip's face, like, you know, he's like stuck. What am I supposed to come back on with that? I'm sorry? Well, you know, eat shit, you know? I'm the lieutenant, man. And I just finished telling you something. And the lieutenant, I'm telling you, don't you ever come up into my face like this again, detective. And so Don grabbed him, pulled him off, and the director goes, "Good, great. That really worked." Yeah, I felt pretty good, you know? And so then I did many scenes like this. You're the camera, you're the actors. Listening to everything that's being said in the story. Book them. And the director, I swear to God, the director would turn around and say, "Can you do it against that wall? Because that wall flies. I can move the wall, I can put the camera on the other side, and I can actually watch your face." I said, "Why? Just shoot the back of my head. That's what you should be shooting. You shouldn't be shooting my face, you should be shooting the back of my head." And so with those choices, with the ability of doing that kind of work, I was able to go ahead, and I've been able to do things like Battlestar and do all the things that I've been able to, you know, Mayans M.C. You know, all the character choices I make on that, they're mine. And I take a lot of pride and understanding of my understanding of the craft. But I also take my hat off to the incredible producers and directors that give me this opportunity to have creative control of my characters. So it's something that I don't take lightly. Yes. When I say that. Question, go ahead.
We have time for 2 more questions.
Oh, yeah, right. What's next? What's after this, Dexter?
Darn it. You're headed back to your table, though, after
I
this?
have to, yeah, I'll be there.
All right.
You got to stay to see Dexter. Come on.
Yeah.
Man.
All right, let's knock out 2 more.
Those guys are great.
All right, well, you already answered one of my questions about Blade Runner.
Okay.
The main thing that I loved about your character is that you couldn't really define gaff in the sense that everything you brought to the role I loved. I wanted to know, as far as you had mentioned the origami, what made you make the choices you did? Like, did they tell you you had to do the stick figure or that you had to do certain other items? And also, did you ever get to meet or talk with Philip K. Dick, since the movie's based on his work?
No, I didn't get to talk to, I would have loved to, but I didn't get to talk to Phil. And I will say this. Necessity is the key to everything. Okay? And so the very first time I did the chicken, I was sitting in the back in a scene where Captain Brian and Decker are sitting at the front on the table, and they're doing the whole discussion. You got to come to work, back to work. I know you're retired, but you know you got to come back. We need your help. You're the only one that can do it, Decker. You know we need somebody to help us get these damn replicants. You know you're the man. You're the best. And I'm sitting, not kidding you, in a room a little bit smaller than this, but I'm sitting like in the halfway mark, back in the corner. So the camera's here working with these guys and shooting, and you can see me. Now, if you sit in a scene like this, you're going to draw attention because it's like not normal. But if you start to do this, you draw attention to yourself. You don't want to do that either. I was lucky that I looked over to the side and there was an ashtray, and in the ashtray was a Wrigley gum wrapper. Half cellophane, on the other side white paper, you know, where the gum goes. And so it was sitting there, and I grabbed it. As the scene was happening, I started to work with it. I didn't go to do a chicken. I didn't do nothing. I'm doing it, and as I'm playing with it and making it, and then they finished the scene, and he goes, cut. And as he said cut, I put the thing down, and it looked like a chicken. So I went, and Ridley heard it. And Ridley, who had been looking at me, of course, he has to look at me, he has to look at everything, was looking at me, and he knew that I was doing something, but he didn't know what it was. But it wasn't distracting. It was more like if you were going to look at that character, that character's doing something. Okay, back to watching these guys. Fine. That being said, he walked over there and saw me and said, can you bring the camera, please, over here? Thank you. And then they brought the camera, they just took a shot of it. All right? Okay. The second one was the stick man. I was in the damn scene with Decker walking around through Leon's apartment, and what was I going to do? I was standing there. I wasn't going around looking for stuff. I wasn't the replicant finder. I was there to be the driver to the guy who was going to be the star of the show. So I started playing with a matchstick, and I made the little stick man, and I gave him a little heart-on. It was funny, right? It was funny, because that's what Decker had for Leon. I put it down, and they took it. And so the chicken was because he was being a chicken to come back to work. And but I didn't plan it. That was just gut level, honest to goodness, preparation, meeting opportunity, and being prepared to be doing something that it doesn't going to distract, but at the same time helps in some way and respects them. It keeps you in the scene. That's what they wanted. They wanted me in the scene. And so, but to do what? He didn't tell me, hey, this is what I want you to do in the scene. They wouldn't even talk to me. Ridley never said anything to me. And so I did those things. And when I saw the unicorn at the end of the movie, I said, holy shit, I was there. Man, oh man, I wasn't there, but you knew I was there because I left the unicorn. I'm the guy who makes the origami. So you knew that I had been in that room with them when they were sleeping. And I could have taken them out because I knew Decker's dreams. That little symbol was his dream. He had the reoccurring dream of the white unicorn. And so they put that in the movie, and that's what made everybody understand that Decker was a replicant. And he hated it. Oh my God, I am not a replicant. I never played it as a replicant. And I said to myself, well, you're not supposed to play it. You're a replicant. You're not supposed to know that you're a replicant, dude. That's the whole idea. It's like the Cylons. They really didn't know that they were Cylons until someone went, you're a Cylon. And that's how they found it. Question, quick.
Last question. And then he's headed back to his table, so you want to hang out.
What was your favorite memories?
What are my favorite memories? What are my favorite memories?
There you go.
Okay, my favorite memories, I think, are birth of my children. I was in the room when they were born. I photographed it. I pretended, and in 1972, my first child was born. And I was a young man. And I posed. I had gone, it was at UCLA Medical Center. I'd gone to the head of the UCLA Medical Center about 3 or 4 months before my child was going to be born. And I told him, hi, I'm Dr. Olmos, and I'm studying there now, and my wife's going to have a baby here, and I'd just like to let you know that I'd like to come to the operating room. Oh, no problem, go on. Yeah, of course. He never asked me for my My credentials. You never said that? Yeah, I just walked in and said, hi, how are you? Dr. Olmos. Hey, Dr. How are you? Very good. Listen, my wife. Okay, so I went to that, and they said, yeah, just have them call me, and don't worry about it. Fine. Come the day. I never said a word again. Come the day. She's having the baby. There she goes. She's going in. I go, okay, where are my scrubs? And the nurse goes, oh, you can't go in. I go, no. Call the head of the doctor so-and-so, the head of the hospital here, chairman of the medical center. Just call him up and he'll clear it. And so they leave away, they come back with my scrubs. Okay? They give me my scrubs, I put on my scrubs. And as I'm walking in to the delivery room, my mother-in-law drops a little Minox camera. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're beautiful. I mean, I didn't even know how to use it. I'd seen them in I Spy movies, but I just knew that they went like this and they took pictures, So I had the camera here, and then I ended up grabbing it, pulling it out, and when my first son came out, so I got it from the ground, the 50-cent piece coming out, and then the head out, and then the shoulder out, and then the full baby out, and we know that it was a boy, yay! And I printed those pictures, and my wife, who's a photographer herself, she made great prints, and we put them up on the wall. And for the first, 10 years, they were little kids, coming up. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. They come walking in, and then the kids are coming in. The birth of my son. That's the most beautiful memory I have of life. The birth of my children.
That is so wonderful. Thank you so much.
Just remember one thing.
Please give it up. Awesome.
I love you so much for the kindness, the respect, and the love that you have shared with me throughout my time here. I've only been here one day. It's the first time in Pittsburgh. I will say this to you. We love you. So say we all.
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 Decker is about to happen.
One more time, please. Give it up.
Yeah, really.
So awesome. Edward James Olmos. And don't forget, he's heading back to his booth.
Hi, this is Aaron Ashmore, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe like now. Oh, and have fun and follow your fandom.